You know what feels like throwing money down the drain? Buying fresh herbs and vegetables at the grocery store, using half of them, and tossing the rest in the compost bin. It happens to all of us. You buy a bunch of green onions for a recipe, use 2, and the rest go bad in the fridge. You grab fresh basil for pasta night, and 3 days later, it is wilted and brown. It is wasteful, it is expensive, and honestly, it just feels wrong. But here's the thing that is going to blow your mind. Most of those store-bought vegetables and herbs can be regrown right in your kitchen or garden with almost no effort. I have been growing food for more than 20 years, and I'm going to show you exactly how to turn your grocery store scraps into free, endless supplies of fresh produce. Today, we are covering 20 different vegetables and herbs you can regrow from what you already bought at the store. Stick around, because number 17 is something most people throw away without a second thought, but it regrows faster than almost anything else on this list. Plus, I have got a bonus tip at the end that will help you keep these plants producing for months or even years. All right, the first one we have got to talk about is green onions, and this is hands down the easiest thing you will ever regrow. If you have never regrown anything before, start here. You will see results in just a few days, and it will change the way you think about food waste forever. When you buy green onions at the store, use the green tops for cooking and save the white root ends. You need about 2 inches of the white part with the roots still attached. Take those root ends and stick them in a glass of water on your windowsill. Make sure the roots are submerged, but the top of the bulb is above water. Change the water every 2 to 3 days to keep it fresh. Within 3 to 5 days, you will see new green growth shooting up from the center. Let them grow for about a week, and you can snip off what you need for cooking. The plant will keep regrowing. You can keep green onions in water indefinitely. Just keep changing the water, or you can transplant them into soil for even better growth. In soil, they will develop stronger roots and produce thicker, more flavorful shoots. I have had the same green onion roots producing for 6 months straight. You buy one bunch at the store, and you never have to buy them again. The second vegetable I want to share with you is celery, and this one is so satisfying to watch regrow. When you buy a bunch of celery, cut off the base where all the stalks connect. You need about 2 inches of the bottom. Place that base in a shallow dish with about ½ an inch of water. Cut side up. Put it in a sunny windowsill and change the water every day or 2. Within a week, you will see tiny yellow-green leaves starting to emerge from the center of the base. Those leaves will grow bigger and greener over the next 2 weeks. Once you see good growth and some small roots forming on the bottom, transplant the celery base into soil. Bury it so just the new leaves are above the soil line. Keep the soil moist, and in about 3 to 4 months, you will have a full head of celery ready to harvest. Now, I will be honest. Regrown celery sometimes produces thinner stalks than what you buy at the store, but the flavor is fantastic, and the leaves are amazing in soups and stocks. You can also just keep harvesting the outer stalks and let the center keep growing. One celery base from the store can give you fresh celery for months. Number 3 is romaine lettuce, and this works with any lettuce that has a solid base, not the pre-cut loose-leaf stuff. When you buy a head of romaine, cut off the bottom 2 to 3 inches of the base. Place it in a shallow dish with about ½ an inch of water and put it in a sunny spot. Change the water daily. Within a few days, you will see new leaves sprouting from the center. The outer leaves might get a little wilted or slimy, so just peel those off. Keep the water fresh and let the new growth develop for about 10 to 12 days. At that point, you can either keep harvesting baby leaves for salads or you can transplant the base into soil for a full head of lettuce. In soil, the lettuce will develop a full root system and grow much larger. You will not get leaves as big as the original store-bought head, but you will get plenty of fresh, crispy leaves for salads. I have regrown romaine multiple times, and it is a great way to get free greens while you are waiting for garden lettuce to mature in spring. The fourth one on our list is bok choy, and this regrows almost exactly like romaine lettuce. Bok choy is a staple in stir-fries and Asian cooking, and it is ridiculously easy to regrow. Cut off the base of the bok choy, about 2 inches from the bottom. Place it in a shallow dish with water covering the roots and the cut surface. Set it in a sunny windowsill and change the water every day. Within a week, you will see new growth emerging from the center. The leaves will start out small and light green, then darken as they grow. After about 2 weeks in water, transplant the bok choy into soil. Bok choy loves cool weather, so if you are regrowing it in spring or fall, it will thrive. In summer, it tends to bolt quickly, but you can still get a harvest of baby bok choy. Keep the soil consistently moist, and in about a month, you will have fresh bok choy ready to harvest. The regrown bok choy might be smaller than the store-bought version, but the flavor is excellent, and you are getting it for free from something you would have thrown away. Next up, we have got basil, and this is where things get really fun, because basil cuttings root incredibly easily and grow into full, bushy plants. When you buy fresh basil at the store, it usually comes in a bunch with stems that are 4 to 6 inches long. Take those stems and cut them just below a leaf node. Remove the lower leaves, leaving just the top 2 sets of leaves. Place the stems in a glass of water, making sure no leaves are submerged. Put the glass in a bright spot, but not direct sun. Within a week, you will see roots starting to form at the bottom of the stems. Let those roots grow to about 2 inches long, then transplant the cuttings into pots with good potting soil. Basil loves warmth and sun, so keep it in a sunny windowsill or move it outside once the weather is warm. Pinch off the top sets of leaves regularly to encourage bushier growth. 1 package of store-bought basil can give you 4 to 6 rooted cuttings, and each one will grow into a full plant that produces fresh basil all summer long. I have kept basil plants going for entire growing seasons from grocery store cuttings. Another fantastic option you should definitely consider is cilantro. And while cilantro does not root from cuttings as easily as basil, you can absolutely regrow it from the base. If you buy cilantro with the roots still attached, you are golden. Trim off the leaves for cooking and keep the roots and about 2 inches of stem. Plant those roots in soil, water them well, and put them in a sunny spot. The cilantro will start growing new leaves within a week or 2. If your cilantro does not have roots, you can still regrow it. Place the stems in water just like basil, and some of them will develop roots. It is less reliable than basil, but it works. Once cilantro is established in soil, keep it cool and give it plenty of light. Cilantro bolts quickly in hot weather, so if you are regrowing it in summer, expect it to go to seed fast. But that is not a bad thing. Let it flower and set seed, then collect the seeds. Those seeds are coriander, which is a great spice, and you can also plant them to grow more cilantro. 1 bunch of grocery store cilantro can turn into a continuous cycle of fresh cilantro and coriander seeds. Coming in at number 7, we have lemongrass, and this is one of the most rewarding herbs to regrow. Lemongrass is expensive at the store, and a single stalk can cost $2 to $3. But if you buy fresh lemongrass with the base intact, you can regrow it indefinitely. Trim off the top grassy part and use it for cooking. Keep the bottom bulb with about 2 to 3 inches of stalk. Place the bulb in a glass of water and put it in a sunny windowsill. Change the water every few days. Within a week or 2, you will see roots forming at the base and new green shoots emerging from the top. Once the roots are a few inches long, transplant the lemongrass into a pot with well-draining soil. Lemongrass loves heat and sun, so keep it in the warmest, sunniest spot you have. In zones 9 through 11, you can plant it directly in the garden and it will grow into a huge clump. In cooler zones, grow it in a pot and bring it inside before frost. Lemongrass grows fast once established. Within a few months, you will have a thick clump and you can harvest stalks as needed. 1 store-bought stalk can turn into dozens of stalks over time. The 8th vegetable we need to talk about is ginger, and if you love cooking with fresh ginger, this is going to save you so much money. Ginger root from the grocery store can be planted and regrown, and it is surprisingly easy. Look for ginger root with little growth buds or eyes similar to potatoes. Break or cut the ginger into pieces, making sure each piece has at least 1 or 2 buds. Let the cut pieces dry overnight to prevent rot. Plant the ginger pieces in a pot with rich, well-draining soil. Bury them about 2 inches deep with the buds facing up. Water lightly and place the pot in a warm spot with indirect light. Ginger does not like direct sun. Keep the soil consistently moist but not waterlogged. In a few weeks, you will see green shoots emerging from the soil. Those shoots will grow into tall, grass-like stems. The ginger root is developing underground. It takes about 8 to 10 months to grow a full crop of ginger, so this is a long-term project. But once you harvest, you will have pounds of fresh ginger, and you can save some pieces with buds to replant and keep the cycle going. Ginger grows well indoors, so even if you live in a cold climate, you can grow it year-round in a pot. Number 9 is going to surprise some people, and that is garlic. If you have ever had garlic cloves sprout in your pantry, you already know garlic wants to grow. Those green shoots are the plant trying to regrow. Instead of tossing sprouted garlic, plant it. Take individual cloves, sprouted or not, and plant them pointy end up in soil. Bury them about 2 inches deep and space them 4 to 6 inches apart. Garlic needs a period of cold to develop big bulbs, so fall planting works best. But if you just want garlic greens, you can plant cloves anytime. The greens taste like mild garlic and are fantastic in salads, stir-fries, and omelets. Plant sprouted cloves in a pot on your windowsill, and you will have fresh garlic greens in 2 to 3 weeks. For full bulbs, plant cloves in fall, let them grow through winter, and harvest in early summer. Each clove you plant will turn into a full bulb with 6 to 10 new cloves. 1 head of grocery store garlic can give you enough cloves to plant an entire garlic bed. I have been regrowing garlic from store-bought cloves for years, and the quality is just as good as seed garlic. All right, the 10th vegetable I want to share is potatoes, and this is one of the most productive things you can regrow. When potatoes sprout in your pantry, do not throw them away. Those sprouts are the start of new potato plants. Cut the potato into pieces, making sure each piece has at least 1 or 2 eyes, which are the sprouts or the little dimples where sprouts form. Let the cut pieces dry for a day to prevent rot. Plant them in soil about 4 inches deep, with the eyes facing up. You can grow potatoes in the ground in raised beds or even in large containers or grow bags. Keep the soil moist and wait. In about 2 weeks, you will see green shoots emerging. As the plant grows, keep mounding soil or mulch around the base of the stems. This encourages more potatoes to form along the buried stem. In about 10 to 12 weeks, the plant will flower and then start to die back. That is when the potatoes are ready to harvest. Dig carefully around the base and you will find potatoes. 1 sprouted grocery store potato can produce 10 to 20 new potatoes. It is like magic, honestly, and you can save some of those new potatoes to plant again next season. Now, if you are enjoying this so far, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and means I can keep bringing you videos like this one. Plus, you will never miss out on new tips to level up your garden. All right, let us keep going. Number 11 is sweet potatoes, and these regrow beautifully with almost no effort. Sweet potatoes are different from regular potatoes. Instead of planting the tuber directly, you grow slips, which are rooted shoots, from the sweet potato. Take a whole sweet potato and suspend it in a jar of water using toothpicks. The bottom half should be submerged and the top half should be above water. Place the jar in a warm, sunny spot. In 2 to 3 weeks, you will see shoots sprouting from the top of the sweet potato. Let those shoots grow to about 6 inches tall, then carefully twist them off the sweet potato. Place the shoots in water to develop roots. Once the roots are a few inches long, plant the slips in soil. Sweet potatoes need warm weather and a long growing season, about 100 to 120 days. Plant the slips after all danger of frost is past and give them full sun and plenty of space. The vines will spread and grow like crazy. In late summer or fall, dig up the roots, and you will have sweet potatoes. One grocery store sweet potato can produce 10 to 15 slips, and each slip can produce several pounds of sweet potatoes. The 12th one on our list is cabbage, and this regrows similarly to romaine and bok choy. When you buy a head of cabbage, cut it in half or into quarters for cooking, but save the core and base. You need about 2 to 3 inches of the base with the core intact. Place the cabbage base in a shallow dish with water and set it in a sunny spot. Change the water daily. Within a week, you will see small leaves starting to sprout from the center. After about 2 weeks, transplant the cabbage base into soil. Cabbage loves cool weather, so regrow it in spring or fall for best results. Keep the soil moist and give it full sun. The regrown cabbage will not form a tight head like the original, but it will produce lots of loose cabbage leaves that are perfect for stir-fries, coleslaw, or wraps. You can also let the cabbage flower and go to seed, then save the seeds to plant a full crop next season. Regrowing cabbage is a great way to experiment and learn before investing in seeds or transplants. Number 13 is fennel, and this bulb vegetable is surprisingly easy to regrow. When you buy fennel, cut off the fronds for cooking and save the base with about 2 inches of the bulb attached. Place the fennel base in a shallow dish with water and put it in a sunny windowsill. Change the water every couple of days. Growth and the fronds alone are worth it. Fennel also attracts beneficial insects like ladybugs and lacewings, so it is a great addition to the garden even beyond the food it produces. The 14th vegetable we need to talk about is leeks, and these regrow almost exactly like green onions. When you buy leeks, use the green tops and the white stem for cooking, but save the root end. You need about 2 inches of the white base with the roots attached. Place the leek roots in a glass of water, making sure the roots are submerged. Set it in a sunny spot and change the water every few days. New green growth will emerge from the center within a week. You can keep the leeks in water and harvest the green tops as they grow, or you can transplant them into soil for larger growth. In soil, leeks will develop thicker stems and more robust growth. Keep the soil moist, and in a few months, you will have got beets, and you can regrow beet greens from the tops. When you buy beets, cut off the root and use it for roasting or pickling. Save the top inch or two of the beet with the leafy greens attached. Place the beet top in a shallow dish with water, just enough to cover the bottom of the beet. Put it in a sunny windowsill and change the water daily. Within a few days, new leaves will start growing from the center. The leaves will get bigger and more plentiful over the next 2 weeks. You can harvest the greens and use them in salads or sauté them like spinach. Beet greens are nutritious and delicious. The beet top will not regrow a full root, but it will give you continuous greens for several weeks. If you transplant the beet top into soil, it will keep producing greens even longer. Eventually, it will send up a flower stalk and go to seed. Let it, and you can collect the seeds to grow full beets next season. Another fantastic option you should definitely consider is turnips, and just like beets, you can regrow turnip greens from the tops. Cut off the root and save the top inch of the turnip with the greens attached. Place it in a dish with a little water and set it in a sunny spot. Change the water daily. New leaves will sprout from the center within a few days, and the greens will keep growing for weeks. Turnip greens are peppery and delicious, and they are packed with nutrients. You can keep harvesting the outer leaves and let the center keep producing. The turnip top will not regrow a root, but the greens alone are worth it. If you let the turnip top flower and go to seed, you can save those seeds to plant a full crop of turnips. One turnip from the store can give you weeks of fresh greens and potentially seeds for a whole garden bed. Coming in at number 17, we have got carrot tops, and most people throw these away without realizing they can regrow the greens. Now, carrot tops will not regrow a full carrot root, but they will give you beautiful, feathery greens that are edible and ornamental. Cut off the top inch of the carrot, including the green stems. Place the carrot top in a shallow dish with water. just enough to cover the bottom. Set it in a sunny spot and change the water every day or two. Within a week, new green growth will emerge from the center. The greens will grow tall and bushy over the next few weeks. You can use carrot greens in pesto, salads, or as a garnish. They have a slightly bitter parsley-like flavor. If you transplant the carrot top into soil, it will keep growing and eventually send up a flower stalk. Carrot flowers are delicate and white, and they attract beneficial insects. Let the plant go to seed, and you can collect carrot seeds to plant a full crop. Regrowing carrot tops is fast, easy, and a great way to reduce waste. The 18th one I want to share is pineapple, and this is a long-term project, but it is so much fun. When you buy a pineapple, cut off the top with about an inch of the fruit, still attached. Remove the lower leaves to expose about 2 inches of the stem. Let the pineapple top dry for a day or two to prevent rot. Then, place it in a glass of water or plant it directly in soil. If you start it in water, change the water every few days and wait for roots to form. Once you see roots, transplant it into a pot with well-draining soil. Pineapples need warmth, humidity, and bright light. They grow slowly, so be patient. In about 2 to 3 years, the plant will be mature enough to produce fruit. You can encourage fruiting by placing an apple next to the plant and covering both with a plastic bag for a few days. The ethylene gas from the apple triggers flowering. Once the plant flowers, a pineapple will start to form. It takes about 6 months for the fruit to ripen. Yes, it is a long wait. But imagine growing your own pineapple from a grocery store top. It is worth it just for the bragging rights, and the plant itself is beautiful and tropical looking. Number 19 is mint, and if you buy fresh mint at the store, you can turn it into a plant that will take over your garden if you let it. Take mint stems that are about 4 to 6 inches long and cut them just below a leaf node. Remove the lower leaves, leaving just the top sets. Place the stems in a glass of water, making sure no leaves are submerged. Set the glass in a bright spot, but not direct sun. Within a week, you will see roots forming at the base of the stems. Once the roots are a couple of inches long, transplant the mint into pots or directly into the garden. Here is a warning. Mint is incredibly invasive. It spreads through underground runners and will take over any space you give it. Always grow mint in containers unless you want it everywhere. Mint loves moisture and partial shade. Keep it watered and it will grow like crazy. You can harvest leaves continuously all season long. One package of store-bought mint can give you multiple rooted cuttings, and each one will grow into a full plant that produces fresh mint for years. Finally, number 20 is rosemary, and this woody herb roots easily from cuttings. When you buy fresh rosemary, take stems that are about 4 to 6 inches long and relatively soft and green, not old and woody. Strip the leaves off the bottom 2 inches of the stem. Dip the cut end in water or rooting hormone if you have it, though it is not necessary. Stick the stem into a pot filled with moist potting soil or a mix of sand and peat. Cover the pot with a plastic bag to create humidity and place it in a bright spot with indirect light. Check the soil every few days and keep it moist but not soggy. Rooting takes longer with rosemary than with basil or mint, usually 3 to 6 weeks. Be patient. Once you see new growth at the top of the cutting, you know roots have formed. Remove the plastic bag and let the plant grow. Rosemary loves full sun and well-draining soil. It is drought-tolerant once established and can grow into a large shrub in warm climates. In cold climates, grow it in a pot and bring it inside for winter. One package of store-bought rosemary can give you several rooted cuttings, and each one will grow into a plant that produces fresh rosemary for years. All right, now here's a bonus tip that is going to change the game for you and help you keep these regrown plants thriving for months or even years. The secret is proper transplanting and ongoing care. Here's what I mean. Most of these vegetables and herbs start their regrowth journey in water, which is great for getting them going. But water does not provide nutrients, and plants growing in water will eventually exhaust their stored energy and stop producing. That is why transplanting into soil is so important. Use good quality potting soil or compost-enriched garden soil. When you transplant, handle the roots gently. If the roots are tangled or circling, gently tease them apart before planting. Water the plant well after transplanting and keep the soil consistently moist for the first week or two while the plant adjusts. Once the plant is established, you can back off on watering, but do not let it completely dry out. Here's the other key. Feed your plants. Even regrown plants need nutrients to keep producing. Use a balanced liquid fertilizer every 2 to 4 weeks during the growing season. For herbs like basil, mint, and cilantro, use a fertilizer higher in nitrogen to promote leafy growth. For vegetables like tomatoes, peppers, and anything that produces fruit, use a fertilizer with more phosphorus and potassium to encourage flowering and fruiting. Also, do not be afraid to prune and harvest. The more you harvest from plants like basil, mint, green onions, and lettuce, the more they produce. Pruning encourages bushier growth and prevents plants from getting leggy or going to seed too quickly. If you are growing perennials like rosemary, lemongrass, or mint, bring them inside before the first frost. If you live in a cold climate, they will keep growing indoors all winter, and you will have fresh herbs year-round. With proper care, many of these regrown plants will produce for years, not just weeks or months. I have basil, mint, and rosemary plants that started as grocery store cuttings and are still going strong 3 years later. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If this video helped you out, smash that like button and subscribe if you have not already. I put out new gardening videos every week, and I would love to have you back. Now get out there and grow something amazing.